Welcome. My name is Vik Kanwar. I'm the Director of Global and Graduate Programs at BC Law. I also teach here. I teach art law and I teach the Introduction to American Law class at BC Law. I've been here for about 6 months, but I've been in this field for almost 20 years. I've taught in India, I've taught in California, and I'm very, very happy to be here at BC. Our guests this morning are going to be Camille Martini, who is from Clary Gottlieb in Paris. He's a 2016 alumni of our program. As a very busy lawyer, he actually has to go do some busy lawyering right near the beginning of our session. This sometimes does happen, so I'll let Camille have a few words after me. We also have Judy Murray, who is the past director of the Graduate and Global Programs, a longtime faculty member at BC Law, and a worldwide known expert on legal ethics. We also have David Olson, an expert in IP law, and he also runs our entrepreneurship center. He is a pivotal member of our core faculty who works very closely with many members of our LLM community. And then finally, we have Lorenzo Capelli, who is a current student at BC Law. He's doing the LLM here. I believe he already has a couple of masters in law. He's attended schools such as Sciences Po and Sorbonne, and I believe at NYU, which is a good school here, but I believe he likes us best. So you can ask him some questions. We have some other distinguished guests, current students, and alumni in the rooms that will be there to interact with you, including Daniela Orosa, who runs our human rights practicum. So it's a very diverse group. I'll be off by myself, so you can ask me the hard questions, or you can ask them the hard questions. But we're going to get started pretty much right away. And actually, I don't know what kind of time Camille has, so I will ask Camille to get started. Okay, normally what we'd have is we'd have that transition from student to alumni. But fast forward to your future, and let's just start with Camille, and I'll come back and give some other remarks, okay?
Thank you very much, Vik, and sorry again for disrupting the process, but thank you for having me. It's great to see new faces and known faces as well. Delighted to join. So my name is Camille. I graduated in 2016. Before that, I studied in France at the Sorbonne Law School as well. And I took the New York bar, so right after my LLM at BC, that was July 2016. And I work as an associate, so an attorney at Clary Gottlieb in Paris. It's a global firm. I wanted to say US, but they don't believe that it is a only US law firm. So it's a global law firm in the Paris office, and I do mostly international arbitration, dispute resolution, enforcement, anti-corruption, and some French litigation, although not my preferred part. Needless to say, and that's what I wanted to say today, the LLM was a huge milestone in my academic and professional career. So I studied law before, and I think all of you do, but it was the perfect transition between my previous academic life and my early professional career. It opened many doors. And I think that the key point was that it enabled me to choose what I wanted to do. And that was practicing law in France, but I could have done it in the US as well. And on global issues. And I think my knowledge of those global issues is something I learned at BC during my LLM. It's a fantastic place to study. I think the ratio between faculty members and students is one of the best in the US. At least it felt like it during my time at BC. Everyone is available anytime, and it's such a small community. I think you're gonna hear about that later on, but it's true. I can guarantee that. The resources available on campus are amazing. I think it's a great mix between, I'm not sure what you're all looking for, but it's a great mix between campus life and city life as well. So Boston is not too far. You're not in the heart of Boston, but I think it's a good thing. And you have the opportunity to discuss that with other panelists. And I also worked on campus during my time. I wanted to flag that. So you're not separated from the rest of the undergrad and graduate students. You're at the heart of the community, and you can work on campus, meet with people, be part of projects, be part of law school associations. All of that is really depending on what your expectations are and what you're willing to do. Maybe one piece of advice, and I'm gonna end here because you have a busy program. One piece of advice is, don't ask yourself, what do I want to get out of that LLM? Like, what are my expectations? Don't see it as another line on the resume, because it's not really the point here. What are you trying to achieve? What's the added value of your program, and what area of law do you want to specialize on, or get a comparative view on, or I don't know, explore? Because it's not about only preparing for the New York bar and trying to work in the US. Really, you have to take something out of your experience here. And I think, the comparative approach is key. Exploring new areas that you haven't studied during your previous legal academic life before. I think all of that is questions that you should ask yourself. Maybe ask during the conference as well. So this is me. It was short and very condensed, but I'm very happy to answer any questions later on. I think most of them will be answered during the conference today, but in case you want to hear stories about what I did after my LLM, the New York bar exam, my transition back to Europe, what I could have done in the US, feel free to ask Vik. My contact details. I'm available. I think that's what the BC law community does. It's being available for you. So I pass the mic. Thank you very much. And sorry again for the short time. Thank you all, and see you later. And I do have some lawyering stuff to do now. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Camille. That was very generous of you. And so that's a little bit of your future as a busy lawyer, and hopefully you'll have a smile on your face like Camille does right now. So it looks like you enjoy your time there. So thank you so much. I'm going to get started. We're going to just go through some of our basic themes, and then again, feel free to join those rooms so we can really elaborate on the program. I think that, Camille, made a couple of points that were just very grounded in a realistic approach, that you have to use this as your opportunity. And I think that's very much, that's very true. So I think we'll all be very candid with you as we share our experiences with the school. So I'm just going to get started now and just make sure. We share the right screen here. I believe that's correct. Okay, so, I've done this presentation in, basically every Friday. I've been open in the morning to meet with students and applicants from around the world. And the thing that's different about today is I actually have people I'm talking about in the room with me. So you don't have to take my word for it completely. You might or you might not know, if you know about BC law. Boston College has both the blessing and the obstacle of being in a very crowded, very prestigious neighborhood of the best law schools and the best liberal arts schools in the country. And we are both one of the best law schools and one of the best liberal arts schools in the country. So when you hear Boston and when you hear Boston College, sometimes you might not be able to tell us from our neighbors, but we're here to basically distinguish ourselves and let you know that we are a very, very specific kind of community. And hopefully the next time you think about us or you remember us, it will be by the one word we have in our name, that we are alone among the top 100 R1 Research One schools, universities in the country, which is we keep our name college, right? So we keep Boston and college together. So although we are a Research One university, we call ourselves college because we feel like a small community, and that is part of our intention. We like to stay true to our Jesuit roots, to our liberal arts heritage, and we like to keep the mentorship and all of the different personalized aspects of our program. And although this university has grown over the years, and the law school is comparable in the JD program in size to other JD programs, Camille was correct. We feel like we have a much better faculty-student ratio, and I think that's true for, that feels true for the JDs, but it really is true for the LLMs. Okay, so some of our neighbors have up to 100, maybe 200 LLMs per year, and by design, we have 15 or 15 to 20 at the top, and that is very much a part of our goal, is to keep a small community where we can really deliver what it is that you need, because the LLM, unlike some degrees, is both a degree that can seem like an extra degree. It's beyond your basic degree in law, which would give you a qualification, for example, to practice law. And it is also an additional degree that gives you benefits based on who you are and what you need and what you want. And so that part of this is very important as well. It's the match between you, what you bring, and what we have. And when that match works, it is the value of that is just multiplies throughout your life. And that's something that we have to emphasize. So part of our job is to make sure that you, among those 15 or maybe 20 students that we invite to be a part of this community, which is completely integrated with all of our students, with our main faculty, that you are ready at this point in your career to make the best use of an LLM, and particularly the model that we have. So I'm going to try to go a little bit more quickly than I usually do. But if you want to come and ask me about your situation, your specific situation, we probably have a very, very diverse audience here today. And this could include foreign law graduates, US-based lawyers, and maybe some people who have been in practice for a very long time, but are wish to basically take their professional profile to the next level, whatever that might mean. So there are things that an LLM is used for in a standard way, such as taking the New York bar, but it could mean something very specific to you, an opportunity, for example, to teach in your own country, an opportunity to be the specialist in a firm on a particular kind of issue, or just to get that substantive knowledge. We don't always have that luxury to step away and study after we start practice, but to really know this time around what it is that you opportunistically want to get from a top program in the US. There are different models of programs out there. And I think probably at this point, most of the 200 law schools in the US, all of which have some very good faculty members and some resources that can really use to supplement your education. There are just very, very different models of programs. And so today, we're all going to talk a little bit about the benefits of the specific model that we have. So you can, as you shop around for different programs, you can look at whether they offer concentrations or whether they offer a general LLM. the size of the class and the kinds of resources that you have coming to you, whether the program integrates the LLM students or has an independent building for their LLM program, and if the program has any other kind of ethos or a reason for having an LLM program at all, because the JD continues to be the primary offering of law schools in the United States. And an LLM, again, is seen even for law schools as a bit of a luxury. But why are we doing that? Why do we have an LLM program and choose to deliver it the way we do? So there are different parameters you can look at, but a lot of it is just a matter of matching you to the program that you come to. So I think at the end of the hour today, there should be no confusion at all about where BC stands in terms of our ethos or in terms of our model. You can verify in the different rooms how this works for students, how it works for alums, how the core faculty, full-time faculty members, view LLM students and their value in an integrated classroom, and also as mentees doing theses and independent studies and other kinds of professional development opportunities. So you can get a full sense of what it means for us to have an LLM and what it would mean for you to be a part of our community. So the basic thing that comes together about all of this is that we find that we like to have a congruence between what it is that we do, which is to maintain a small, very highly qualified group of LLMs, and our mission, which is, again, it's rooted in this tradition of being one of these Jesuit colleges, one that has been here to integrate newly arrived Americans, for example, into the kind of higher echelons of the professions, one that is in this kind of idyllic setting away from the city a little bit, and one which is a part of these major markets such as Boston and New York. How do all these different pieces really fit together? That's really part of the puzzles that you want to be putting together today. But the way that it works in practice for us is that we invite as diverse a group as we can get into those 22 students. So, you know, you look at Lorenzo and you look at Camille and you say, no, these guys are not very diverse. They're both from these elite French universities. They seem very, very fancy and all that. They smile too much, whatever you think. But if you see the group as a whole, we are very, very diverse in age, interest, life stage, you know, where people have gotten their initial education. We have US residents, citizens, and, you know, people educated in all the major systems, civil law and common law. This is our very nice group here today. That's a statue of Saint and Sir and philosopher Thomas More. Our faculty, I wish I could have them all up here, but an aspect of our faculty that you'll really appreciate is so many of our faculty have been engaged in global legal education and different aspects. You know, I had 4 of us together in a room and we covered all of the continents except Antarctica. So that's, if you know any Antarctic law specialists, okay, that's who we'll hire next. But we have people who work on internationalizing the core curriculum and main areas of American law and basic law subjects. And then we also have people who work in all of the areas of public international law, international trade, international taxation, economic, social, cultural rights, labor, employment law. And these are really, really, you know, of course, top scholars, as they would be at a school like BC. But I would just like to say really, really quality human beings, really great people to know in a community and to be known by in a community. Some of our faculty members have been exactly where you are right now, which is studying, which many of you are, which is studying in top law schools abroad, maybe getting a master's, a PhD, or a bachelor's in law, and then coming here to do an LLM and advanced studies in the US. So some of our longtime faculty members have done exactly that. And so they know your position when you come here. We're very, very proud of our connections to other parts of the university, interdisciplinary centers such as the Clow Center for the study of constitutional democracy, the Human Rights Center, which is currently directed by law faculty, and we have our own internally diverse clinics and centers. So I'll end there, though I'm going to be there in a room by myself if you want to come keep me company, but I'm going to get to our more distinguished members of our faculty, and our distinguished current student now, and we'll start with Judy Murray, who has probably among all of us the longest engagement with international legal studies and the LLM program at BC Law. So thanks a lot.
Well, thank you very much. So it is a real delight to be here today. It's a real delight to see the backgrounds of everybody's homes since it's at 8:30 a.m. here in the United States. So I had been, yes, active in the formation of the LLM program, but overall, I'm what you call an accidental internationalist. My one foreign language is really rusty. But it was always clear that our community is enriched by the presence of international perspectives and the diversity of perspectives. So I was originally going to very briefly talk about the benefits and the professional benefits of an LLM, but I realize it's really about the personal benefits for me. Although delighted to be part of the forming of the LLM program, I had not spent substantial time abroad until I received a Fulbright grant to teach in China. That was 2008. And so my husband and our two younger children went to China for the year, and our level of ignorance was profound. It was unbelievable how little we knew about the rest of the world, how utterly provincial we were, and that we had a sense of our ignorance before we went. But when we arrived and began to experience life on the ground, it was evident how little we knew. My husband would say, because there's a language difference, he got on the plane at 63 and got off the plane as a 3-year-old. When, in terms of the academic life and really being immersed in another culture, getting some ideas of the legal system and the like, there's a great expression that if you go to China for a month, you write a book. If you go 6 months, you write an article. And if you go for a year, you write nothing. Why? Because when you go to another culture, you over time begin to see the contradictions and the complexities, the core values, but the ironies that abound in every single culture and every single legal system, which is a reflection of the culture. So the benefit of actually taking yourself and getting on a plane or if for those of you who may be based in the US, immersing yourself into the world of law in the United States is how it helps form a worldview about the complexity of the human condition. Now, obviously, you also get really significant insights through studying through the legal system. That, for example, when I teach torts now, as one of the ways to highlight our US system of damages for torts to make whole damages, I can compare it to which individually tailored damages. There are very different systems of damages, such as the Chinese system of the average wage in the city of residence, that reflects behind it a lot of choices within a legal system and often reflecting the culture. So that you have as you go in and immerse yourself in law, you also have the benefit of jumping in for substantive immersion. I usually have several LLM students who will come to torts if they're thinking about teaching or writing because it's a perfect common law subject, and the common law system is so very different than a civil law approach. So that commitment of coming and the courage, actually the utter courage it takes to go and immerse yourself, if you're coming from abroad, in another culture, immerse yourself in the exhausting process of studying full-time in the language, which even with our LLM students now come with quite good language skills, but just it is tiring at first as you immerse yourself and then begin to really think in legal English, that you develop that next level of sophistication and understanding. It changes you. It changes you, I think, as a person. It changes you as a lawyer. I am absolutely a better lawyer, a better professor, and a better teacher because I spent a year abroad, and I wasn't even working in Chinese, but just to be able to develop empathy for the complexity of the human condition and the complexity of legal choices. So actually, because I will stop there as the fundamental benefit of an LLM.
Thanks, Judy. I'm sorry. I hear that my microphone wasn't working very well. Can you all hear me now? Okay, so we're going to move on to David Olson, and Judy will be there as well in the breakout room to answer your questions. Professor Olson.
Thanks, Vik. It's my pleasure to be here, and welcome to all of you who are tuning in to this. I'm going to talk a little bit about the academic life of the institution, what you can kind of expect on the academic side when you come here, if you come here, and hopefully that'll be helpful to you. So at a broad level, our goal is to prepare our students as professionals for the path that, not for some set path that we think is best for them, but for the path that they think is best suited to them. And we do this through rigorous coursework, but also opportunities of flexibility that students can craft to their needs. And we do that within a deep commitment to international engagement. We have exchanges with institutions throughout the world. We have many faculty members also have individual connections with scholars and institutions around the world. I myself have taught for a semester in Brazil, guest lectured in China. We'll be going to Dublin this coming year for a semester. And that's quite typical of many of my colleagues. We've taught, lectured, participated in exchanges, have others coming here from throughout the world. And we think that's very, very important. And as part of that, our LLM program is very important. And I can say as a professor, whether it's when I'm teaching class or when I'm putting on a conference, that the input and the perspectives we get from our LLM students and then our LLM alumni, who often then participate in events after they graduate, is really is so important to what we do and to make our educational experience richer for everyone, all of our students and our professors. So let me say a bit more specifically about what the experience is like here as an LLM student. We have a deep commitment to a community of learning and to supporting our students. And you'll hear expressions like supporting the whole student, the whole person, as in we don't expect you just to come as a lawyer and leave the rest of yourself and your personality behind. We want to support you so that you kind of continue your path growing into the full person, including lawyer that you should be. And so we support that with a faculty that has deep expertise in research and teaching. That faculty has an open door policy. It's quite easy to get time with professors and to approach them and have conversations about what you're doing. As part of that is a deep commitment to mentoring. I'm very pleased to see my official mentee, Lorenzo, here on the Zoom, and one of my students, Giada, who just did an excellent job. She was on the call or on the panel, so she was one of the speakers in class yesterday, did an excellent job there. And we compared some of the perspectives of patented drink delivery devices in food courts in the US compared to Italy. So just one example of kind of the enrichment, even on the kind of fun or levels of a class. We also have support for you if you're going to seek an externship or internship. There can be opportunities for collaboration and to really develop relationships. For instance, I'm just finishing an article that I'm submitting for publication with former LLM student Fabrizio Ducci, who's Italian. We're comparing US and EU law on genetic patents. So that's just some of the examples. When it comes to your classroom experience, the LLM students are fully integrated with the JD students. There's no separate track, as you'll see at some schools, where there are LLM classes that are really just set aside for LLM and may be taught by professors who are not teaching the regular students or part of the regular community. At BC, you're going to have the same professors, the same classes as our other students. There's one exception in that you take, at least if you're an international student, you take an introduction to US law. But other than that, you're in all of the same classes. It is challenging, right? Because there's no separate track, as Professor McMurrow said. I often hear from LLM students for whom English is not their first language, that the first couple of months are quite tiring, having to use English all day long, but they progress very quickly and generally gain enormous fluency quickly. And I'm sympathetic to that, because having taught for a semester in Brazil and having to try to operate in Portuguese, even though I got to teach in English myself, but just trying to get through the day communicating basically in Portuguese, quite tiring, especially at first. So additionally, our LLM students, they receive the same teaching support, the same access to office hours and professors, as I said, and they often do very well. One semester, my top grade in the entire class was an LLM student, for instance, and in general, students often do quite well. So, you should have confidence in the kind of training and background you're already bringing to the experience and that carrying you forward. We teach in an international context in many courses. Another example is my antitrust course, which I teach as a US and global antitrust course. We firmly believe that in this day and age, we need to be aware of and prepare people to practice in an international context. In addition to the classroom, we host numerous conferences and events. This creates a rich intellectual life outside of the classroom. These conferences bring together academics, students, professionals, judges, and regulators. And just as one of many examples, BC Law will be hosting this coming April 1st and 2nd, the annual patent conference. This is the largest academic patent conference in the US, but you'll also see conferences and events in many areas, including human rights, immigration, business law, tax, intellectual property. I could go on and on. I'm personally the faculty director of the program on innovation and entrepreneurship. That's just one example of a program that's has a specific focus and that puts on programming related there too. So we could talk more about the other areas. You can also find them on our website. When it comes to your LLM course of study, you can create your own path, but there are also 5 concentrations that you could focus on. Those concentrations, which are listed on the website, but briefly are a human rights and international law concentration, business law, environmental law, intellectual property law, and tax. So this is some of the idea of what you do as students here. There are also other opportunities for LLM students. Some, certainly not all, and I don't think the majority, but some students have done externships or internships at either companies or nonprofits. So I was able to support one of my LLM students who was able to achieve an internship at Harvard Medical School in bioethics, which is her key interest. We've had internships at Volunteer Lawyers for the Arts, and working on things like NFT and blockchain art. We've had also post-grad internships at bankruptcy court, public interest law firms, and so forth. We have opportunities in international human rights. So I'm very pleased to see Professor Daniela Urosa here, who is the director of our International Human Rights Practicum Clinic. We've had students achieve certificates in the Interdisciplinary Human Rights Program, which is interdisciplinary with the university. And I should say there are also many opportunities to both take courses at the main university outside of the law school. We've had students do that, and to engage in the programs that the university has. So in addition to this, students have written theses. Some have come back or have continued on as visiting researchers. Some have taken advantage of consortium agreements to take classes with our partner institutions. So you really have a very wide variety of opportunities, and you can find your individual interests very well supported here, I would say. And you'll find a community that very much appreciates your presence here, because we really firmly believe that we're all enriched by this program and by each individual LLM student. So with that, I'll turn it back to Vik, and I look forward to perhaps talking to some of you in the breakout rooms.
That was great. Thank you, Professor Olson. And now to contradict everything you said or agree with everything, we have Lorenzo Capelli. And following Lorenzo, we're all going to go into our individual rooms, and hope to see many of you, all of you there. Okay, so let's get started. Lorenzo.
Absolutely. Thank you, Professor. So no, I certainly agree with everything that was said. So I am a student, a current LLM student. I'm Italian, but I've lived in France for most of my academic career. Certainly, one of the main benefits of this LLM program, as professors have mentioned, is the very small size of the LLM program. So we are 15-20, meaning that we really mix with the JD, which I think it's really an incredible advantage. And we have almost, I mean, we really have one-to-one, like we are accompanied one-to-one by all of our faculty. For example, Professor Olson is my mentor. I have been in 5 universities in 3 continents. This is the first time the week after I arrived to a place, I am invited to dinner at the house of a tenured law professor. And this is just to give you an idea of how much we get one-to-one support. Another great thing about this LLM program is that you can really craft your own, like you really start from white paper and you do what you want to do. So I am following a concentration in business, but to give you an idea, this semester I'm only taking 1 class, law of money. I'm doing 1 clinic where I am working on real cases. I am helping 3 clients fighting evictions, so real cases, real courts under the supervision, obviously, of a supervising attorney, and I am writing a thesis. And there again, I can, as it's been mentioned, everybody's super supportive. So my supervising professor, of course, but if there are any other aspects where I know that somebody else has, greater expertise, I can always go and knock on doors, and everybody will be very welcoming. So it's certainly being a positive experience. Our relationship with each faculty member is exceptional. For example, last semester I took environmental law with Professor Platter, who is one of the most leading American academic on the subject. And I did so well that Professor Platter has now invited me to teach a class to the Boston College undergrad. This is just to give you an idea over how amazing your experience here at BC can really be. So I am absolutely very happy. And I think, Professor Kanwar, perhaps since we are running late of time, we could go to the breakout rooms. But if you have any specific questions, really do not hesitate to ask us.
Thank you, Lorenzo. And I'm just going to say that the next step now for all of you is, if you are interested in learning more, you can set up an appointment with me. If you're interested in applying, everyone here who's attended today and who will be getting a link through your email to a recording here, you are all able to get a fee waiver for your application fee. So if you're applying this year, you would go to the LSAC forum, the LSAC portal, and you would have fee waiver for our application fee. So hopefully you got all of your questions, or many of them, answered, or you at least know which questions to ask when you come and get another kind of round of consultation or continue applications. If there's anything else from any of our other speakers, this would be the time.
Professor Kanwar?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, so one of the participants asked about the grade requirements, entry requirements for the program. And I was about to answer that they would need to reach out to you to confirm that. Thank you.
Exactly. So actually that was the sentence I was in the middle of. So basically the main theme is we do have written on the webpage some of the numbers, such as TOEFL or IELTS requirements of above 100 or 7.0 and so on. The thing that the basic core requirement is that you're a graduate of a law program, or you are a graduate of a program that would entitle you at some point to practice law in your home country. So whether that's a JD from the US or an LLB from somewhere else, that would be the basic requirement. When it comes to the others, it is a matter of most applications that are within a range. I will look at holistically. So even if you're a little bit under the score, it can be looked at holistically in terms of the entire, under the language score, in terms of the entire application, okay? That said, the other theme is come when you are most ready, and that includes language. To make the most of the program, you want to be the strongest student you can be. So to take advantage of our program, a integrated program and so on, come when you are most ready. And I also had a question about pandemic planning and contingencies. That's just the way that we all have to think now in the global sense. We have to be resilient to those kinds of things. We have to be attentive to what's happening with our local governance, with pandemics, things like that, political relationships. But the main thing is that you're all in a field where it pays to be aware, to be skilled, to be diverse in your skills, and to know when there are these kinds of opportunities. So if you're in a situation where you do gain admission to our program and there's a contingency down the line, we may have contingency plans, or you would want to defer and come when you're ready in that way.